Welcome to Wanderlust and Wishes, the podcast where we explore the world one destination at a time.
I'm Julie.
And I'm Krystle.
As travel agents with Fantastical Vacations, we are here to share our passion for travel and help you turn your wanderlust into reality.
From hidden gems to bucket list adventures, join us as we dive into the sights, sounds, and stories of our favorite destinations.
So grab your passport, pack your bags, and let's embark on this journey together.
Welcome to episode 55 of Wanderlust and Wishes. Today, we're going to talk about Epic Universe. We are so very excited about this episode. We've been talking about this for several weeks. As everybody knows, Epic Universe opened on May 22nd, but there was also some previews that were in place. We are very excited to have Margie Reynolds, another Fantastical Vacations travel agent, on with us today to talk about her experiences.
A few weeks ago, well, I guess it's been a couple months now, when I was in Disney, our Earmarked conference, Margie was one of the fellow agents with me. And the last day, we kind of ended up by ourselves together and we got talking about her upcoming plans. And Epic was one of those. And kind of that day, we kind of figured out we need to do this podcast. So this has been on the schedule for months, really. So this is exciting. Margie, why don't you tell everybody a little about yourself?
Well, hello. I am an agent with Fantastical Vacations. I've been with the company just a little over 3 years, and I'm absolutely loving it because it lets me do crazy things that I always love to do anyway, like go check out Epic Universe on opening week. We are theme park fanatics, absolutely love Disney, Universal, SeaWorld. We like going to the parks, and we were so excited about Epic opening. So that's why we went ahead the minute the tickets rolled out. We booked our hotel and then got our tickets.
That's so fun. Maybe we need to have you talk about SeaWorld on another episode too.
Yeah. I'm actually a pretty big SeaWorld fan. It's great with littles when you've got kids that are in strollers that are under the age of 5. You can just push them around and they'll look at fish all day long. And then if you're going with your kids and you and your husband, you can drop the littles with one of the sets of parents for a while. And they've got some of the best roller coasters at the theme parks. So it's a win-win.
I haven't been to SeaWorld since I was probably like 12 years old. So
yeah, same. And I only went to San Diego. So
one of the other areas, Discovery Cove, which is in that same, part of the SeaWorld franchise. I would love to do that. I know my daughter Ella would absolutely love to do Discovery Cove. It's on our list.
Discovery Cove's on my list.
So before we start grilling Margie on all the ins and outs of her trips and all the details, to give a quick overview of Epic Universe as a reminder, as I just mentioned, it opened on May 22nd. However, they had previews going on several weeks before that. Epic Universe is the first major theme park to open in the Central Florida area in like 25 years. So it's a pretty big deal. It's a huge thing. It is over 100 acres of park, and it's designed in a kind of wheel and spoke type design, very similar to the competitors across the street and some of the things that they have laid out. Celestial Park is in the very center. It has dining. It has a roller coaster as the dual track roller coaster, and it has carousel. They also have 4 more areas: How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic, Dark Universe, which is very like kind of old Hollywood style monsters, and then a Super Nintendo World. They each have multiple rides and lots of new dining that we'll talk about. But just as a reminder, those are some of the new areas that they have in place.
All right, let's jump in. First, Margie had the fun experience to preview the park as an agent. And then you also have the perspective of going back opening weekend with your family. So what was it like seeing the park for the first time during previews?
Well, I had been just absolutely stalking Epic online, so I saw a lot of stuff, and I wasn't completely surprised. We've been anticipating this for quite some time. Also, my youngest daughter was with me, and I say that she is an adult, but my thrill-seeking amusement park child, so we like going to the parks together, and we already have annual passes to Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios, so we do go quite often, and we do love the thrill rides. So she kept me abreast of anything that if I happened to miss it, she caught it. So we knew what we were getting into. But when you walk into this park, it is just absolutely incredible. You just don't know what to expect. I've been to so many theme parks and love the differences, but this one is set up so well. It is so easy to traverse. It is just laid out very reasonable. When I was looking at it, I was like, gosh, there's only 11 rides. This is going to be, so easy to just do everything in one day. And that's not the case at all. You walk into one of the worlds and they have portals. So you're going through a portal that's going to kind of set the tone for that particular world that you're entering. And when you go through that portal, you enter a different world. It just completely captivates you. Now, I giggle all the time when I hear on podcasts that somebody cried. I don't cry. But it was fun watching my teammate who walked through the Harry Potter portal and saw France and almost started crying. And I'm looking at her going, okay, well, this is really, really cool. I'm not sure I'm going to cry, but it looked like you had just walked into the middle of 1920s France.
That's awesome. I'm a crier, Margie, so I'm that person.
I have no problems with that person. I am just not that person. But I do love the lands. I mean, I heard the word immersive over and over and over when I was researching it. I did not realize it until you walk in. You walk into Super Nintendo World and you are in the middle of a video game. You've got the lights flashing and the boxes and the colors and the sounds. I mean, it's as if you just stepped into your TV screen and you are smack in the middle of that video game. It is very cool.
I think I've heard that even from, everybody that's been there or a lot of the influencers that are posting videos and things, that nothing that they're posting is really doing it justice. It's not the same as actually being there.
It's not. You walk in and the feeling, like I said, I'm not a crier, but you just get warm fuzzies all over when you walk into a land and you're transported across the ocean or into a movie. My daughter grew up on How to Train Your Dragon. And although she's 25, she wanted to just stay in the Isle of Berk half the day because it was her heart, her childhood heroes. And there was just so much to do and see. And it was just incredible just wandering around and looking. You don't have to be doing this ride, doing this ride, doing this ride. Part of the thrill of this park is it's just hanging out, just walking through the land. Even if you're not riding a ride, even if you're not heading straight to an attraction, there's just so much going on and so much to see and do that it just takes you in like you've been transported to another world.
So how were the crowds while you were there for the preview?
Well, I think we got really lucky and really unlucky. The day we were there for previews, they were closing at 6:00 that night, and we did not realize that was the only day we could go. So we didn't realize that was such a short day when we originally booked it. And I think a lot of people did realize that. So the crowds weren't bad at all. We got an express pass because they were very reasonably priced during previews. And so we were able to get on most of the rides in like under 10 minutes. But honestly, we could have done everything without the express pass. The longest wait was Stardust Racers, and they were only running one car, and it was about 50 minutes. Other than Harry Potter, when we did previews, the Harry Potter ride, the Battle of the Ministry of Magic, was still on a virtual queue. That's gone away. Now they've got a wait time, which I think was better. I do like a virtual queue, but only when it works. And this one was not working, although I can't complain. We got to ride it twice during previews. So as all the people that were having trouble with the virtual queue, it did work for us. So, but it makes more sense. People need to know how long they're going to wait and whether or not that's worth their time. So I like it now that it is just a standby line. And I think they'll figure it out when the crowds get busier. They're going to have to do something. And the waits at Harry Potter are not because of the ride. It's because of the technology. A lot of the podcasts I was listening to early on were really shocked that they were planning on opening the Battle at the Ministry along with the rest of the park because of the technology. And that is the delays that you're seeing in the line. It's because the ride breaks down, not because it's slow loading or it's a low capacity. Once this thing is working well, the lines were going to come down drastically, and it's going to be an incredible ride that people are going to be able to get on more than once a day.
I heard a rumor that if you lift your feet while you're on the ride, it shuts it down. I don't know if that's true, but even the thought of that was mind blowing to me.
The team member that was seating us said, do not cross your ankles. If you cross your ankles, this ride will stop down. And I am guessing it's a safety feature where they want your back up against the wall and your feet firmly planted on the ground because the car is like a Tower of Terror type seating structure, but it is moving sideways as you're going on the track. And I think it's just a safety feature, although I wish they had put something different there to make it less of a safety feature. That's something that's going to have to be figured out. You can't get people, I mean, because they told me I couldn't cross my ankles, the only thing I thought about the whole ride was I really want to cross my ankles.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure if that shuts it down, even for 10 minutes to reset it, but I think they said every time they have to reset it, it's 20 minutes. So if you're in line, an hour line, and they have to shut it down twice, you're now in a 2-hour line. I mean, it just really adds to it. And so I can't believe it's that finicky. They're going to have to work out those technical issues.
Well, I would think that if you're not allowed, like if you cannot physically cross your legs and they need your feet planted, they should have put some type of strap or harness or something to keep your feet in place so that that doesn't happen, you know? I would think that they would have to do something like that because they're not, like you said, they're not going to be able to control people crossing their legs.
I agree.
I think people are
That's why
gonna
I
do it
say
without
once
thinking about it.
once they get the kinks worked out of this ride, it's going to be so much shorter of a line and it will move fast because it is a good, easy to load ride. There's good capacity. It should not have the lines that it has. Another advantage of going to these parks with my youngest daughter is she studied video game design. And so I get all the details on ride systems every time I go on a ride with her, which is really fun. And this is new technology. So part of the ride and the coolness of the ride is that this is really new technology that they're doing. And so everybody wants to see it. To me, it's not the most thrilling ride there. It's not the ride that if someone said, you can choose any one ride, which ride do you want to be? That would not be my first choice. Although it's a great ride and I'll do it every time I go if the line is reasonable. But it's, to me, not the best ride there. It's just the longest waits because of technical issues.
I think the Monsters ride, the roller coaster looks like that might be I can't wait to ride that one. That one looks fun to me.
Well, I can give you a lot of spoilers, and I don't know how much you want to go into on these rides, but Monsters usually runs a 10 to 15-minute wait. So it's not running huge waits. Great ride, fantastic animatronics. The detail that they have put into these rides and the theming and the background is just over the top. That is what makes these rides. To me, I'm very cynical, so please forgive me. Monsters Unchained is just Harry Potter Forbidden Journey with monsters.
Is it going to make us sick like Forbidden
I'm
Journey,
not going to be
though?
able to ride that.
Likely, yes. It's the exact same Kuka arm ride technology. To me, it's a much cooler, and I love Harry Potter, but it's a much cooler storyline behind it. And Igor just steals the show. He is fantastic. But the ride itself, if you got on the ride and closed your eyes and they played the Harry Potter soundtrack, you wouldn't know the difference.
Oh, yeah, no, then that's a no for me.
Does it have as many screens as Harry Potter?
They've done so much more with the screen and live animatronics in integration. I don't know if you've seen the Born Stuntacular. That's a stage show at Universal that is fantastic. They are blending a live action actor who comes on and off the stage, and it's very, very difficult to see when he is on the stage and when you are looking at a screen because they have merged these together so well. It's done like that. Sometimes you're looking at a screen and it's obviously a screen, and sometimes you're looking at a monster and you're like, that's a real monster and he's about to jump out and grab me. It's not a screen. So they do a really good job of integrating them. So and from what I don't get motion sickness, I can ride anything. So, but what I've heard from other friends is that because of the seamless integration, you're less likely to get motion sickness than you did on Forbidden Journey, which is
That's good to know.
several years, earlier technology.
It just janks you around. I mean, it's the jerking back and forth, like up, like the backwards and forwards, and then in addition, like that combination of the motion on the
blurries.
screen.
Yeah.
I have to I shut my eyes the entire time because within like 30 seconds, I thought I was gonna hurl. It was terrible.
Monsters does jerk you around like that, but you're not. The screens are more of character coming at you and less of a you stop here and watch this screen, then you stop here and watch this screen. So I don't think it would make you as sick as Forbidden Journey. You are going to get tossed around. It's the same Kuka arm technology. So it does push you in the face of monsters and then pulls you back away from them very quickly. So there is a little bit of that going on.
Yeah, I don't like Dinosaur for the same reason. I hate that ride.
That is my daughter's absolute favorite ride. to put our family in perspective.
Yeah, my oldest daughter, she loves that ride too, and I usually go on it with her, but I
Mhm.
feel like someone has
It
beaten me.
it does. It jerks you around a lot. Looking forward to Indiana Jones, and I'm hoping it's much smoother once they transition that.
Yeah, me too.
Through that.
So what about where did you guys stay? Did you have early access benefits? Were there any other, exclusive elements in the preview that you were able to see that maybe weren't available outside of the preview, anything like that?
Not really. It was just everywhere we went had signs up that said technical rehearsal. So it might or might not be open. And we were very lucky that we were able to ride or see everything except for fire drill. And that was our choice. It only had a 5-minute wait, but we didn't want to get drenched. And the other one was Le Cirque Arcanu. They were having some technical difficulties, and we saw the show this time, so I know why. It too is very technical, and so they had to cancel 2 of the shows, and one of them was the time that we had planned for. So we did not make it back for the last show. We were doing Stardust Racers and just didn't make it back. So we did miss that during the previews. We were staying at Helios, and for the previews, the park was not opening until 10 a.m., and they allowed us to go into the park about 8:15. So almost 45 minutes before the park actually opened. Now, staying at Helios or any Universal hotel, you do get a 1 hour early entry. But the only thing open during that 1 hour early entry is Super Nintendo World. Now, I just saw that I believe starting middle of June, they are going to open up another world. And I think it might have been Isle of Berk for early entry. But with that, everybody kind of was meandering in Celestial Park, heading over to the general area of Super Nintendo World. And as soon as we got there, of course, Minecart Madness is not on the Express Pass. Since we had the Express Pass, we wanted to get Minecart done first. We go straight to Minecart, and it was closed due to technical rehearsals. Then we went over to do Bowser's Challenge, the Mario Kart. It was closed to technical difficulties. Again, it's a preview, so you got to expect it.
Yeah.
So we did Yoshi, which is a cute little ride. It is like a very short, high in the sky people mover. Very cute. I think it's the lowest ride height. I think it's 34 inches, if I remember. But it was just a Omnimover, very simple, easy ride. Anybody could ride. Again, littles, be aware it is on the second floor. So if they're scared of heights, you probably wouldn't want to take them on it. But it was a very simple ride. And so we did that. By the time we were done with that, we did get in Mario Kart during the early entry that opened up, but Minecart Madness did not. Then after that, by 10 o'clock, it was open to anybody that was coming in for previews. And so you did notice the crowds pick up considerably. You got to figure previews, it's mostly the geeks like us that really wanted to be there. So they were all coming in right at 10. But still, even with that, the lines weren't terrible. Most of them stayed around 25 minutes. I think they were purposely keeping the crowds down so that everybody had a good time. You don't want to fill the park up and nobody wants to come back. Now, we were staying at Helios. We were staying at just a regular hotel room without a view. And let me tell you, that theme park view is a game changer. When I stayed for previews, our room looked out on a parking lot. The hotel room just seemed underwhelming because we got in and we're paying for this gorgeous hotel. We walk in, it's just basic. It's 2 beds, it's a dresser. It wasn't anything spectacular. So I was a little scared when we were going back for opening week to stay at the same hotel because I had been a little disappointed, honestly. We walked in that theme park view room. Amazing. We had the window open the whole time. I had to get some work done while we were there. I had that window open, just people watching and watching the parks. We watched the nighttime show. They have a huge fountain and they do a water show in lieu of fireworks. And every single light in the entire park is attached to this show. And all the lights are changing colors and turning on, and they're rippling through the entire park. And you could see that from this theme park view. It was worth staying there, even if you don't go into the park. It was so incredible.
Oh, that's awesome. That sounds awesome. And the pictures that I've seen, and then, we did a little bit of a preview back in February, and it was, I can't imagine. I can't imagine staying there and being able to just see everything happening. Because the park obviously wasn't open when we were there in February. So being able to see everything going on during the day, and like you said, just people watching.
Yeah, it was incredible. It's ruined me. I don't ever want to go to Epic and not stay at Helios with a big view ever again. It's just like staying at Portofino Bay. It has ruined me because you get the express passes
Yeah.
and it's just so convenient. And they've got so many restaurants there on the property, and the property is nice. And the hotel room is a big room. So it has ruined me when I go to Universal Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios to want to stay there. Helios has now done the same thing.
All right. So now we've talked about previews a little bit. Tell us what changed when you went back with the family and the differences that you saw between preview and opening weekend.
When we went back opening weekend, we had been monitoring ride times every single day from day one, and we're really surprised to see that the ride times were very reasonable. I think Universal was very smart in limiting the capacity so that everybody that was going opening week was able to have a good time. When we went, we had gotten 2 days. We have annual passes, and we had originally booked the 3-day ticket that you had to get 2 days at the other parks to get 1 day at Epic. And then they released annual pass tickets. And so we got one of those. And then they actually let us change our 3-day ticket to a second annual pass ticket because we didn't need the other 2 parks. We have an annual pass. So we were able to go 2 days, and we were trying to finagle around the weather, and no such luck. It's Florida. It's going to rain every day. And we wound up going on Saturday and Sunday of opening week. And Saturday, it rained the whole day. But it was great. Most of these rides are inside. Even some of the roller coasters with a very light rain. It's Florida. You're not typically getting torrential downpours. You're getting a light rain. So we were able to get on Stardust Racers in the rain, Hiccup's Wing Gliders in the rain, Dragon Racers Rally in the rain. Monsters Unchained, of course, is an indoor ride. Didn't matter. We were able to get on Werewolves, and we know because we were getting pelted in the face with raindrops as we were riding these rides. But it was never terrible. It was just a light drizzle almost the entire day. But we still were able to ride everything and saw all the shows.
So did you feel like the park handled the rain pretty well?
It did. It did. There were so many places you could go. I haven't even touched on the food yet at this place. There are so many amazing restaurants and little venues that you can pop into to eat. And so those were getting full as it started raining. A lot of little shelters that you can dip into, some stroller parking and stuff that was covered that you could get into to get out of the rain. But you've got several of the rides, and of course, both of your shows are indoors. You can go to Monsters Unchained. It's a completely indoor ride. Mario Kart's completely indoors. The Battle at the Ministry is completely indoors. There's a lot of little nooks and crannies, like for stroller parking that you can duck into, little lounges and bars and stuff that you can run in and grab a drink while you're waiting for the rain to subside. So you can look in both shows. So you can look at the sky, and as you see those clouds rolling in, there's plenty of things that you can just kind of switch your schedule, jump in and stay out of the rain. And it was no problem. And very few of the rides shut down due to the rain. Even the outdoor rides, they kept most of them open during the rain.
That's good to know. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things. Like, we don't, like you said, unless it is like torrential downpour where you can basically not function because it's raining so hard, like, we're not stopping. We're going.
Right. And most people are that way. They paid a lot of money to get into this theme park. The last thing they want is to not be able to get into the theme park.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about, because you kind of mentioned it, do you want to talk about food? What you had either during the preview or when you were back there with your family?
We tried to eat at different spots all the time to check everything out, and we did not have bad food anywhere. It was amazing. When I was there for the previews, we had such a short day that we did not really eat in the park. We ate at the hotel, and both before and after our park day. So our focus was the rides during the preview because it was limited. It was a very short day. Now, we did sneak into, and I cannot remember the name of it, the French restaurant in the Ministry of Magic in Paris. And we had to get us a butterbeer crate. And that was excellent. And we actually had lunch there as well later on that day while we were waiting for the show. And the sandwiches and the menu, just fantastic. The food was excellent. And now when I was there for the previews, we ate, because we had a limited day, we ate at the hotel. We did breakfast at Flora Taverna at Grand Helios. It was spectacular. It was a buffet. They had fresh made omelets, and they had fruit cut up and yogurt and all the pastries you could possibly want. pancakes, waffles. I mean, if you wanted it for breakfast, it was on this buffet, and it was wonderful. So we did that before we went into the park. And then that night we had dinner at Bar Helios, which is super cool. It is a lounge at the very top of Helios Grand, and you've got all these windows looking down onto the park. And we had just appetizers there while we all grabbed a drink. We met some friends, and it's just a really fun place to go. The food was fantastic. The prices are definitely for theme parks. You're going to pay for everything that you're going to get at every one of these places, but it was excellent food. Universal has gotten a bad rap in the past. They had not really been 100% on their food game. They fixed that with Epic Universe. Everything that we ate at Pizza Moon. We ate at Oaken Star Tavern, which is largely barbecue. We ate at Das Steakhouse. We ate at the Burning Blade Tavern. A lot of these are quick bites. The service was great, and the food was very unique, but excellent at every place that we went.
That's good to hear because, like you said, I do think Universal has a little bit of a bad reputation for not having super great food options, and I mean for a good reason. Within the parks, they don't have a great reputation for having great food, and that's good to hear that they've listened and improved.
They did. I've got to give Universal credit. They listened to all the complaints that anyone has ever said and just really knocked it out of the park with Epic. Going back to the family, I was traveling with my daughter, who's 25, and her boyfriend, and then my husband, who recently had back surgery. So he is in a wheelchair when we go to the parks. After about 20 minutes of walking, or especially standing still, he is not a nice person to be around because he hurts so bad.
Oh.
So about 2 years ago, right after his surgery, we said, "Dude, we're just getting your wheelchair." And he's like, "Absolutely not. I am not going in a wheelchair." And he loves the parks as much as the rest of us. And he kind of stopped coming with us because it hurt so bad. We got him in a wheelchair and he was a different person. It was awesome. So I think he kind of feels a little silly sometimes because he's perfectly able to walk. But, it hurts a normal person's back and feet and knees when you're in a park for 12 hours. Imagine if you just had back surgery and you just had a knee replacement. It's not a real fun thing to do. So we just put him in a wheelchair and it was great. We were able to get around. The park is very accessible. All the parks have recently expanded their lanes, their ride lanes. So you don't need a DAS pass or any special things. You just get in the line and the wheelchairs fit in the line. Now, some of the rides do have steps, and a team member is great. When you come to that point, they'll just ask you to step aside. They direct you over to the elevator. They bring you up to the top floor, and they'll put you in almost exactly at the same spot that you left. Again, there were 4 of us. So a couple of times when we did the elevator, they would say, "Okay, the rest of your party can go on, and 2 of you go in the elevator." We'd go in the elevator, and they would hold us until the rest of the party caught up. So we weren't getting any extra time added or taken away. It was just as if we were in the regular standby line.
Talking about accessibility, what about accessibility with you talked about the queues, but what about the shows, dining, transportation, like some of the other things in addition to the attractions? How was the accessibility?
Again, we were easy because we just rolled right into the park first thing in the morning because we were literally staying on property. But we've done Universal for years with the wheelchair, and they are great. They'll load the wheelchair onto the bus. If you're taking the bus, you can usually leave the wheelchair not even folded up on the boats that take you to the Islands of Adventure and Universal. So I don't see any transportation issues at all. The dining, we didn't have any issues. All of them asked, can you transfer from a chair, or would you rather just stay in the wheelchair? And usually it's easier just to stay in the wheelchair. They'll move a chair and he sits at the table. If they've got them on steps, they always have tables that are not, or they'll have a ramp that you can get to the tables. But sometimes, like if they're busy, because he can walk, we'll just say, "Oh no, we can put the wheelchair to the side," and he'll just walk to the table. But again, no issues at all with the dining. The shows, same thing. They're very good. It's usually in the middle of the theater, before the second section. They will have like 8 chairs together and then a space for 2 wheelchairs and then like 8 chairs together. So the family can sit in the chairs and you just pull the wheelchair up beside it. So we've done that with a lot of shows.
Anything surprising that was challenging for him with the chair?
Not really. Not really. It's a pretty level park, which is great. Islands of Adventure is not. I don't know who created that park, but there's all these little bitty hills, and you go up and you go down. And I don't need the downs, I need the ups. I mean, I don't need the ups. And it's like, why couldn't you just made it flat? You're going up and down. Just make it flat. And Epic is pretty flat. So it was actually very easy.
I've been curious with a stroller how Super Nintendo World would be because with the different layers. Did you find it a pain to go up and down, like to go find?
Not really. There are plenty of elevators, really plenty of elevators. So we never really even had to wait for one. The goal is trying to find one every now and then. Super Nintendo World was really the only place that there's so many elevators because there's so many stairs that they were hidden. And by day 2, we knew where most of them were, and it was very easy to find them, and they were obvious once you saw them. And so once people start getting familiar with it, more people will go, then people will see them going, and so that will solve that problem. And cast members as well will see people, with a stroller or wheelchair and direct them to the elevators. But you could get anywhere very quickly. It's not like there was ever a line to get to into an elevator.
That's good to know. Speaking about littles, I know you had your grandma eyes on while we're there. Tell us about like observations for like height requirements and things for the littles.
Well, Constellation Carousel is actually the only ride in the entire park that has no height requirement. Now, a little does have to be with somebody that's over 48 inches, which makes perfect sense if they're that little, because they have cars that you can sit in on the carousel, as well as all of the animals have 2 seats. So if you're there with your true love, you can sit together and ride the character together. If you're there with a little and the 2 of you want to sit with your little one right between you, you can get in one of the buggies that go. So it's a really cool carousel. And it doesn't just go in circles. It's got 3 circles. The pole that you're actually on slowly spins. You're in a circle that slowly spins, and you're on the outside circle that is slowly going around. So it's not like it's going to make you dizzy or anything. This is actually a lot less spinny than the teacups. If you have ever ridden alien swirling saucers, it's a little bit of that. Not really the slingshot, but where they kind of are going in different ways and the circles are catching to each other and putting you on a different track. That's kind of how the carousel works. So that's the only ride really that's for littles. But the playground in Isle of Burke is absolutely incredible. Now, I have had all 3 of my grandkids that range from 2 to 5 in all 3 parks, SeaWorld, Disney, and Universal. And, you pay that money. Well, actually, you don't pay that money to get most of them in because under 3, they're free. But you get them in that park, and all they want to do is play in the play area. At Universal, they've got a great Jurassic Park play area. They've got the new Shrek and Trolls area over, I guess that's at Universal. Jurassic's at Islands of Adventure. And if you combine those 3 areas, that's the new Isle of Burke play area. It is absolutely incredible. There's rope ladders and slides and seesaws and just everything a kid could ever want. And I get bored very quickly in a little playground. But when we took my granddaughter to Universal earlier in the year, she would have stayed at that Trolls play area for hours and not had a single complaint. So they are not littles aren't into the rides like the rest of us. Several of the rides had 34-inch height requirements, I believe, except for Stardust Racers, which is a very intense roller coaster. The other roller coasters were only 36-inch height requirements. So a tween, maybe a little older, 7, 8, 9-year-old that likes that thrill should be able to ride the roller coasters there at Epic. So there were rides. And then as far as littles, I would not take a child that is prone to nightmares into Darkmoor, which is where all the monsters are, Dark Universe. You know your child. I have seen 7-year-olds that would go to Halloween Horror Nights and not think twice about it. I have seen 15-year-olds that will not get near a Mickey's Halloween party because it is so scary to them. So you know your child, do what you think, but Darkmoor, even in the daylight, is spooky at best. It's a little scary. At night, it's downright chilling.
Ooh, that sounds so awesome. I can't wait to go.
It is awesome. And we got so lucky in Darkmoor. My husband had run to the restroom, and so my daughter's boyfriend was just waiting on us. So he sat down in the wheelchair, and Igor came up and started giving him grief that his family had deserted him, that he could take care of him, and he would push him through the experiment, and he starts rolling him away. And my daughter's boyfriend is hilarious. He has very dry sense of humor, but he will go with the flow, and he was just going on. They must have had a 5-minute interaction where they're just chatting, and Igor just strolls him away from where we were, and he's telling him he's going to take him and he's going to help him and he's going to use his body parts. And at the end, he was saying he didn't like his name, so he was going to call him Allie from now on because that's where we'd find him, in a dark alley. And it was just, and I got most of it on film, and it was hilarious. Just such a fun interaction. I've heard great things about Igor there throughout the land. We saw the Invisible Man several times. Luckily, he was wearing clothes and his face was all wrapped up so we could tell it was him. Frankenstein and his bride were in Dartmoor. They were a scheduled meet and greet, so they had a pretty long line to get up there and get your picture made with them. So it was a really fun land. But again, very spooky. If your child is not into that, it's something I would, let them go with somebody else and you tour it by yourself. So just keep in mind what your child's going to see.
Oh, Ella and I are so there.
You mentioned when you were talking about rain that stroller parking had covers.
There were several areas for strollers that were covered. Now,
That's
not
amazing.
all of them were, but yes, it was nice because I saw more people in the covered stroller area than strollers when it rained.
But even just to not have to worry about
Put a
walking out
cover
and
up every
stuff
time.
getting
Yeah.
drenched. Yeah. Did you notice like any of the baby care centers or like family restrooms or anything?
Yes, every land had usually a girls' restroom, a boys' restroom, and a family restroom. But the baby care center, we did not go in it, but we could see it clearly from our window at the hotel. It was right outside of Harry Potter, very well labeled. It looked huge, so I'm guessing it was a pretty big area. And Universal does this well, so I would think it was a really nice area. Now, if you just needed some quiet time with a little, Celestial Park was huge. You've got amphitheater seating on like tiers all around this beautiful pond where they do the nighttime show. And throughout the day, you'd see people. The amphitheater was grass steps. So you'd see people just sitting around the amphitheater. And during the day, it's just a beautiful fountain. There's the water's going off, and you could see people just sitting there relaxing. You could bring in a picnic lunch and eat it there. They had bands at a couple different spots. Not a lot of people, sadly, watching them. The bands were pretty good, and you could just go and sit for a little while under a covered table and enjoy the music. There were some off the beaten path, a couple of areas where you could just kind of go if you needed to chill and decompress. So they built in a lot of just spaces in this park.
I should have covered this earlier, but we didn't. I've heard that the way that hub and spoke is it doesn't feel like you're crisscrossing or it's not as spread out as like Magic Kingdom when you're trying to get from one side of the park to the other. Did you feel that it felt closer together?
It did. It did. Rather than a hub and spoke, you've got this long like rectangle that's Celestial Park through the middle. And then you've got the two lands on either side of it. So to cross from one land to the other, it's a very simple walk right across that rectangle because it's kind of long and thin around the worlds. So and the way it spreads out is to kind of give you this beautiful park and this serene area everywhere. So it didn't feel clumpy. And you could look at your phone. We were monitoring ride times, and you could be over in Dark Universe, which is closest to the Helios, and see that there is a short wait time at Hiccups over at Isle of Berks, which is across Celestial Park and on the other side. So it's not directly across, but diagonally across, and you could get there in 10 minutes. So it was very easy just getting to the different lands, going in and out. Again, you could see them. The portals were all unique. So you didn't have trouble going, now, where is this? I can't find this. You just look up and you'll see the Ministry of Magic with the hand holding the wand. You'll look over and you'll see the Burke with, I think you've got a guy at the top of a mountain, a monk, somebody at the top of the mountain. You've got Super Nintendo World, and then you've got Dark Universe with the lightning going off. It's very easy to see the top of the portals so that you know exactly where you're heading.
I just love the whole idea of the portals. I said, whoever thought that up is a genius.
Now, this has been speculated on many a podcast, and I have no idea. This is strictly rumor and has nothing to do with the truth, but the portals are set up as such, and you have several really, really nice sit-down restaurants in Celestial Park that they could possibly close the portals or allow only park guests into the portals and open up Celestial Park to the public. And I don't know if that's something that they're looking to do, like comparable to like a city walk. because somebody could come in and eat at one of these very nice restaurants. And they've got such a great job with facial recognition now that if you tried to walk on the roller coaster, and the reason we thought this, the only big ride in Celestial Park is Stardust Racers. You have to go through a portal to get into Stardust Racers. So if they were opening up Celestial Park to the public for dining or just to get people in, you could do that, and they would not be able to ride a ride, and they would not be able to go into any of the portals, but they would be able to enjoy the park. And there's just so much space in that they could easily do that, or maybe just keep it open late. So maybe Celestial Park, if the park closes at 9, Celestial Park closes at 12, and then you could open it to the public from 9 to 12. That could come in. I could see them doing that very easily.
Interesting. So we did talk a little bit about that you stayed at the Helios, the Grand Helios, while you were there during your preview and while you were there with your family. What was your first impression whenever you walked in, like the first time you went in? What was your first impression of the hotel?
The hotel smells wonderful. Everybody always talks about their candles. I guarantee they're going to have a Helios Grand candle because that smell was unique and it was wonderful when you walk in. Everybody was so helpful and pleasant to work with. We walked in. I did not arrive the night for the previews. I got in at like 11 o'clock that night. So it was literally walk in, go to the room, go to sleep, crash because we're getting up early the next morning. When I got to the room, I was very disappointed. Now, we knew we didn't have a theme park room, but it was just 2 beds. And I understand why they did some of the design work the way they did, but especially at 11 o'clock at night, it just did not pop. It just kind of looked like a nice hotel room, nothing fancy. I was seriously underwhelmed and disappointed with it. But when we went back the second time, it was earlier in the day. We got there about 2 in the afternoon. We walk in, the sun's in that room, and it does really step up the lighting. And we open those curtains, and everything's on an iPad. So we didn't open up the curtains. We just hit the curtain button, and the curtains slowly open. And there's this beautiful view of the park, and it was a game changer. It completely changed my perspective on the entire hotel. Now, the hotel itself was beautiful. We did the Bar Helios at the very top of the hotel. We did the Taverna Florina at the main lobby area, that restaurant. We visited the pool one day. It's a really nice pool. It's kind of a meandering pool that looks like a really wide, lazy river, but it's not a lazy river. It's just a pool. They do have going to the zero depth area. So if you had littles, it would be a great big round area for them to play in where it's, from 0 to maybe a foot deep. So they could go in. And so we liked the pool, everything about the hotel. It's just that first night when I got there and opened my window and saw a parking deck was disappointing. So always get the theme park view. It's worth it. It's fantastic. Staying on property also was fantastic. The first day we went into the park, we went down about 7:30. Park opened at 9, so we got early entry at 8. We went down at 7:30 and the line was wrapped around. It went all the way to the end of the floor and then back around. And we're like, oh no, we were in the park in less than 10 minutes. They're using facial recognition. They asked for your hotel key to make sure that, and they were checking your hotel key about 10 people before you got to where they're scanning all your bags and stuff. So they had it going smoothly. There was never a stop. You're just walking. Check your hotel key. Then they're putting you through the scanner to make sure that there's nothing in your bag. And then they're scanning your ticket and using facial recognition. And it is just so quick. We were really surprised at how quickly we got in the park as long as the line was. And we staying at the hotel. We did notice that every morning there was a long line before they opened because some mornings they would open up 15 minutes before early entry and some mornings they would open up 45 minutes before early entry. So people would get down there and just get in line, hoping for the best. But literally by 10 after 9, there was no line. Everybody could just walk into the park.
That's great that they figured it out so early in the game and that it's not like a drawn out process. I did have a question about quick service food at the restaurant or at the hotel. Did they have stuff like at the pool or just like a grab and go inside the hotel?
Okay, if you didn't want to spend a lot of money, the food was a little disappointing here at Grand Helios. The Aurora Market, they were serving Starbucks coffee, and they had some pastries, and they had some grab and goes, but nothing that was really super exciting looking. They had chips, they had lovely pastries. Now, if you wanted a cupcake that was just decorated to the nines, It was there. And they had ice cream, but like a good breakfast sandwich, not there. A good, I don't know, something for lunch or just a quick service that was not there. They were expecting people to go into the park and eat. And that's where you were finding the great quick service and the food and stuff. Now, the restaurant itself was fabulous. We also ordered food at the pool. It was very good, but it was very, very expensive. I want to say it was $24 for a hamburger.
Oh, wow.
Again, if I'm at a nice sit down restaurant, you expect to pay that. But when I'm in a bathing suit at a pool, I expect to pay about $12, $15 for a hamburger. So I was a little disappointed with the pricing. Again, food was excellent. So I got to give them kudos for that. Now, I love your value restaurants at Universal. We've stayed at Endless Summer so many times. My daughter was actually staying at Terra Nova, and they had a great quick service where you could get bacon, eggs, and toast for like $12 in the morning. Just a good, filling, quick breakfast and be on your way, or a bagel sandwich or something like that. They had that at the two Prime Value resorts.
It's so odd to me that they're not consistent with stuff like that. And I know that is more like the Lowe's hotel thing.
Well, every hotel has a unique personality with Lowe's, and your nicer hotels, they're figuring if you're paying a lot of money per night, you're probably eating at the fanciest dining spots and you're doing things other than quick service.
Yeah.
And if you're staying at Endless Summer, you're a value guest. You're wanting some quick service more than you're going to pay a lot of money for that fancy dining. And so they do kind of do their dining according to the price you're paying for your room. They've got unique pools, but all of them are great. Even Royal Pacific is a signature hotel. It does not have a slide, but it's one of my kids' favorites when they were little because they had the water pistols that they could go in the little, like a sunken boat, and shoot each other. And to them, that was more fun than the slide. So I will give them, kudos for a different style. When you're very used to Disney and their tiers all make perfect sense, you just have to get to know the hotels at Lowe's. We actually went over to Cabana Bay one night just to play in the lazy river. And with Universal, you can pool hop any of the hotels except for Endless Summer. Endless Summer does ask that you don't pool hop. Those are two huge mega resorts, and they don't want to just flood the other hotels where you're paying a little bit more with guests that are pool hopping. So they ask that you don't pool hop from those. But those pools are really nice. They're big pools. They accommodate everyone. They've got zero entry. So even at the least expensive hotels they have pools that are worth, the kids enjoy playing in the pools.
I've also wondered too if the whole thing with like the lack of quick service Helios is because they're trying to keep others out. Like if you're like at Disney, it's so easy to be like, well, I'm going to go grab something at this restaurant and then use their amenities to get into the park.
Yeah.
So I've wondered too, like with the whole parking is expensive if you're just going to get a meal, or like little things like that. If maybe it's kind of to deter, like if you're not staying here, there's no reason for you to really come over here.
I think that's part of it. I think that most people that are staying at Helios, honestly, are probably doing Epic, and that's why they're staying at Helios. And there is such amazing quick service at Epic that they're probably figuring that. Or again, the sit-down restaurants were very, very nice. And so I don't think there's going to be a huge draw for quick service there. Like you said, if you park, they will validate your parking if you eat at one of the restaurants, but I believe your validation is $75. You're probably not going to hit $75 if you're doing quick service.
Yeah.
So if you're coming to the hotel just to eat.
Yeah, that's true. And I agree with you. That does make sense that they're probably also just trying to push people into the parks and to eat quick service there instead, since they have such good options there. That makes
sense.
They
did. They had really good options.
To wrap up, what would you say is your biggest takeaway from your experience with Epic Universe?
It is an amazing park that's got something for everyone. If you are not a huge thrill seeker, there is food and entertainment and attractions for everyone. If you are a thrill seeker, you've got Stardust Racers is an amazing roller coaster, and you've got Hiccup Swing Gliders, you've got The Curse of the Werewolf, are just really good roller coasters. I mean, and Minecart Madness, another really good coaster. So you've got all these thrill rides from amazing to pretty darn good. The theming's fun. No matter what you're looking for when you go to a park, you'll find something that you like here at Epic. And I just think Universal outdid themselves with this park.
That's awesome. Did you have a favorite ride that you experienced while you were there?
I think it was Hiccup Swing Gliders because, again, my daughter grew up with How to Train Your Dragon. And to see her face when she was seeing all the different themes and people, and she knew all the dragons' names and she knew all the characters' names. And for her to see that and just, you know, seeing her expression made that one a favorite. I really liked The Curse of the Werewolf, and it kind of got a bad rap on a lot of the podcasts and previews. It was a fun little roller coaster, kind of short, but a very fun roller coaster, and usually had good lines. So I'd say those were probably my two favorite. But again, I'm a roller coaster person. I love Stardust as well. Minecart would be up there, but the wait was just so long that that's not something I would regularly do. And same thing with the Battle at the Ministry. It was a really fun ride. I would easily wait 45 minutes to an hour to ride that every time, but I'm not going to wait 2 hours to ride it again
Or 3?
or 3.
I saw somewhere that queue is made to hold for 6 hours inside and another 2 hours outside.
I did hear that, and it's a long queue, so I could see that.
That's bananas.
But again, I think once they get past the technical glitches, I don't see it being that long of a line. I think it's now it's an incredible queue. It is a really, really fun queue. But after about an hour in it, I was done with the funness of that queue and ready to be on.
Is there anything that you would do differently for the next trip?
Well, eventually I'm going to have to ride Fire Drill because that's the only thing I've not done. And we should have done it on the day it was raining. And of all things, that ride shut down during the rain and we were drenched and we had gotten dry by the time it was back up. And we're like, well, we're not going to do it now. We just got dry. No, I mean, we definitely do the early entry. It's so worth it. We got a lot done and just make time to eat, enjoy the shows. Both shows were incredible. Go for 2 days. You can get it all done in one, but you're exhausted. The second day, we had so much fun because we did everything the first day. So the second day, we ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the park. Oh, the second day, we ate at the Blue Dragon, which is one of their very nice sit-down restaurants. It was excellent. Great service. The food was fantastic. So kudos to that. But again, take time to just enjoy some of the stuff. Our second day with the family was my third day there, and I still saw stuff that was the first time I'd caught it.
Yeah, there's just so much detail and everything that
So
can be
much
done.
detail.
Do you have any final tips for anybody considering Epic this year?
Definitely use a Fantastical Vacations travel agent because we know the ins and outs of Universal. I definitely stay on property. The Helios Grand might not be in everybody's budget. If you can stay at Helios, do the theme park view, it's worth it. But if not, even Endless Summer is a fantastic place to stay. It's halfway between the 3 parks. You've got buses that will take you there, and you've got quick service, a lounge at night, Starbucks for in the mornings. I really love staying on property at Universal. Definitely do that and just enjoy all 3 parks. There's something at all 3 of them for everyone.
Now, I mean, with Epic Universe and then with both Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure, and then also if you want to do Volcano Bay, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a full week. I think a lot of people think of Universal as just maybe 2 days or something, and that's not the case at all anymore. You really need to spend a full week to get everything out of it.
Yeah. We love Disney, but we're a Universal family. We've been getting annual passes to Universal probably since my youngest was about 10 years old. So we really love Universal.
All right, we're going to do a little lightning round. Margie has listened to our podcast before, so this might not come as a surprise. So these can be theme park related, they can be anywhere related. It's up to you. Do you have a most memorable place you've ever traveled to?
Alaska. It was absolutely incredible. I want to go again.
Did you cruise to Alaska?
We cruised and did the land trip afterwards, and I think the land trip was the better part of it. We had so much fun. It was incredible.
Aw. You might have already answered this, but do you have a favorite theme park?
Whichever one I'm in, I love them all so much. I'm going to go with Epic because, that was the last one I did. It's always my favorite, whichever one I'm in.
Do you have a favorite ride across all theme parks? Like, does one just like stand far and above any other?
Guardians of the Galaxy. I absolutely love that ride.
We stood out in the hot sun waiting for that with you for how long was that? Like an hour.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite princess?
I like Rapunzel. She's got spunk.
Yes.
What about a favorite villain?
Oh, I kind of like Yzma. I think she's just
She's hilarious.
she's she, she's so over the top mean that she's just funny.
I was gonna say she might be your spirit animal, Marge.
I have a favorite meal, snack, drink, or restaurant that is always a must do.
We're kind of traditionalists. I love my Dole Whip. Although if we're at Epcot for Guardians of the Galaxy, I do love the sangria at Morocco.
Yeah. What is your favorite resort? Either one you stayed at, one you'd like to visit, Disney, non-Disney. I know you've done a lot of non-Disney resorts.
I have my favorite one so far at Disney is Contemporary. We did at Bay Lake Tower. We did the theme park view. There's a theme going through here. We did the theme park view room one night and watched the fireworks from our balcony. And there's just something really wonderful about watching the nighttime show from the balcony of your hotel room. So that was really cool. But at Universal, it's Portofino Bay. We love staying there. It's just, they've got restaurants and just such a cool atmosphere, and the nightly music when the quartet comes out and sings to us. That's been our favorite recently.
Do you have a bucket list trip or destination?
Yes. One day when somebody hands me a gazillion dollars, I want to do Disney's jet tour where you go to every single Disney park and you get VIP tours at every single Disney park and get to do them all. My daughter's going to go with me. She's already told me. We just have to figure out how to come up with that money.
Well, you
Yeah.
can adopt both of us and bring us with you as well.
It's a deal.
Oh, Margie, we love you. Can you tell our listeners where they can find you?
I am Margie at fantasticalvacations.com. On Instagram, we are All for Fun Travel. And on Facebook, we are Fantastical Vacations with Jessica and Margie. My business partner is my daughter, Jessica. And thank goodness for that, because she does most of the social media for me, because that is not my forte. But I am really good at finding great deals. And she laughs that I am good with bougie on a budget. So if you want to go really fancy and save some money, Margie at Fantastical Vacations.
And I know that she just posted the video interaction with Igor. 'Cause I was watching that on your Instagram. So
That was my favorite.
Well, we would love to answer any of your questions about Epic Universe. Please let us know. Send us all your questions. I'm so excited. I'm hoping to go in October. We have a Disney cruise, but we will be back in the Orlando area, and I'm hoping that's when I'm going to be able to go. I can't wait. We truly appreciate all of our listeners. We hope you've had a fantastic week, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Wanderlust and Wishes.
if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform.
And remember, the world is full of wonders waiting to be explored. Until next time, happy travels.
Bye for now.